Hey guys, just getting the stream up again. Just going to double check to see that everything's working because I've had a few issues in the past. Let's have a look. Okay, so I'm going to safely assume that this is working. It's probably one of the open broadcast software is really getting a bit touchy, I've been noticing. So yeah, not working as well as it used to. It seems to just be every other day it's failing. Yeah. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. It was just a case of trying to get Open Broadcaster. So it looks like I might have to switch out of it. It just way too many problems with it. It unfortunately fails just miserably. You know, we've got microphones here on the table. We've got, you know, all this equipment, and we just can't get it to work. Now we've just got this audio sounding terrible. All right, so anyway, let's get on with it. I'm going to show you Prelude. So this is basically a new project that I'll start. I'll get straight into it, and we're just going to go into a clients folder, and we're going to name this project let's call this the Steve Newman music video. Okay, and it's creating a prelude file. So I've just chosen, obviously, Steve Newman's folder, and we've got a new file. What we're going to do now is click Ingest, and we're going to look for the, put simply, we're looking for this. We're looking for the EOS Digital. So we did this on a Canon 5D. Canon 5Ds are okay to shoot with. They can be a bit of a problem though, to be honest, in the sense that they don't necessarily output to an Atomos or anything like that, a video recorder, which I wish they did. And you may have to use something like Magic Lantern to get them to work. But in any case, let's just let this update with, just going to have a look at the footage that we're going to be bringing in so that we can give you an idea of how this all works. So the client is a music video, and you can sort of see, you can scrub through with Prelude, and I think we can hear it as well. Okay, we can have a bit of an idea of what's going on. So what we'll do is we're going to just basically bring it all in. Okay, and what we do is we click one video, click the other, and then click on the tick box, and it will bring everything across. You can see that we can scrub through everything as well. Just by mousing over it, we get a bit of a scrub through. Now, what we're going to do is choose where we want it to go. So we're going to browse for location and go to here, Steve Newman. Okay, so we're going to select that as a folder. We're going to add a subfolder, right? Now, I could have already created the folder by going into here, Steve Newman, and created the subfolder and then select it. But what I'm going to do is actually create it now. I'm going to go with, so we've got here Canon, right? 5D, initial shoot, right? So that means that we could even date that, so we could put the actual date of the shoot. Do we want it to transcode? No, we're going to leave it as is. And the other thing we're going to do is rename the files as it brings it in. Because if we leave the files as is, what you'll find is that they'll end up being things like this. They'll be, you know, MVO 790 blah blah blah, right? We know that that's not very useful. So we don't want that. What we want to do is rename all the files. So we're going to tick on that. Apply to all destinations, not a problem. Now, what we're going to do is we could have chosen any of these presets, which I've already created, or you can create a new one. So to create a new preset, what I do, okay, is I believe that I can go none. I can go Canon video, but what if I want to create a new one? I click down this down arrow and go new preset, okay? So what I can do is go new preset, all right? Now what it's asking is very simple. It's telling me to start with some preset fields, and currently it's untitled because we haven't saved it yet, okay? So let's pretend I'm dealing with, what I want it to do is have an auto increment, okay? That means for every successive video that it brings in, so the first, second, and third, as you can see, the first will be numbered 1, auto increment to 2, 3, 4, 5, and each of these will get a number. So we could do auto increment by 1. Then I want it to add a bit of custom text or file name. Okay. Now file name means the actual file name of the video, and in this case you can see it would start with MVI _ 7902 and each one successively. That might be what you want, or you don't want that, in which case I will delete that and actually go, then I want it to get a custom text, and I will do something like _ Canon _ video, right, _ and I'll tell you why we do that. Then we go date, and then go, let's say the ingest date. We want the creation date, and we want it to go day, month, year, or day, month, year, right? So that means it's going to give me, 03, 08 for August, and then 17 for 2017. Now what that's going to do is give you an indication of what it looks like. It's going to be 1_Canon_video_050 blah blah. Now in my case, I may not want, now what I can do is actually then save that preset, okay, but that doesn't mean it's stuck to it. And I'll give you another example. Now because I've already got this, I'm going to actually click on this and cause it to be another camera that I might use, and it's let's go with GH5, right? So now it's got auto increment _GH5_video, boom boom, date, thank you very much, and I'm going to save that preset, and we're going to call it GH5 camera, right? And click OK. Now what we can do is in future go GH5 video, and then we can still type in front of that something. Now in my case, I'm actually going to ignore the GH5 camera. We're going to go with the Canon video, and as you can see, what it's going to do is go the number 1 for the first video. It's going to give it the number 2 for the second video. But I want a little bit extra on this, and I'm going to go Canon video and then go Steve, right? And then go Mystery, which is the name of his music clip. So we've got Canon. Now for me, I might not even bother with that. I might just go Canon 5D. Okay. Now I haven't saved this, so it's going to basically go 1 Canon 5D, Steve, Mystery, and then the date. Now the reality is what it's going to do is create a subfolder in the Steve Newman folder. So that's going to mean the following. If we look at it from this perspective, we've got Steve Newman folder, right? It's going to create a new subfolder in here, right? And there it is already, I believe. Has it done it already? Nope. So what we're going to do is the following. We're going to actually go in, browse for location, and let's have a look. Seagate, Steve Newman, let's just find that again. Music video, thank you very much. That's where we want it. What it's then going to do is go Canon 5D initial shoot. Now the reason I've done that is because I want all the Canon 5D from day 1 to be in its own folder. If we then go into another day or another day or another day, I want all those videos to sit where they belong. That way I'm not confused. I don't see all these videos and there's 20 of them and they're all from different days. Canon 5D, Steve, Mystery, that doesn't really help me much, does it? So what I'm better off doing is going Canon 5D and then go, let's go the bar, B-A-R, and I know that that's day 1. So now we're going to ingest. What it's going to do now is grab each of these videos, right? And it's going to rename them. And then the original videos are sitting on the SD card, or in this case, a compact flash card, as, what's it called? The original names. Now I can format that card later, knowing that I've brought everything across. So this should all start to come across. Let's just see if it's doing anything. And I can see that something's starting to happen, okay? We should actually start seeing the videos pop in. As you can see, there they are, right? As each one's popping in, you can start to see them come across. And as I said, the titles are coming through as we mentioned, right? These are meaningful, I guess, titles. If nothing else, I can see that this was filmed on the 3rd of the 8th, 17. So that tells me the date it was filmed. It's also auto incrementing 1, 2, 3, 4. So as each video comes in, it gives it basically a unique file name. Okay, otherwise all the file names would be the same. Now the auto increment, I decided to put it at the start. Like I said, I had the underscore which separates the Canon 5D from the number, otherwise you'd have that sort of up against it. Having said that, you've got your own version of how you want to title things. That's not a problem. Go with what you feel comfortable with. The most important thing now, though, is that each and every one of these videos, just by looking at the way it's being described, I can easily now see what's going on. Now, if I wanted to, I could have also done another thing, gone one extra and gone, let's say on that day we had one series of videos that we shot, maybe 10 of them that were in a bar, and then another 10 were shot outside in the garden. I could have renamed each one of those. So the first 10 would have been named at the bar, second garden, and so I'd know straight away, without even really looking, what each of those is. This is a far better way to rename your videos. A lot of guys don't rename videos, the way of just going right click and rename and all that, simply because it can get a bit messy and it can mess things up. Having said that, your other safe bet is to just cut and drag everything across, but like I said, this has brought everything across all incrementally and with the titles that we want. So I can come back even a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later and see when these were recorded, and clearly I know, okay, this is Steve, it was for the mystery music video, and we can see it was at his bar, which he's got a little bar out the back of his house. That's where we shot it. So now that's very meaningful. When I bring it into Premiere, I'll actually bring it in titled the way they are. Now, the cool thing about this course is that it definitively tells me everything I need to know about the content of the videos. If I was to then send these to someone else, they'd also know. Now, before I sign off, because this is just a quick little video, I'll mention something here. When you're dealing with Canon 5D camera, your ideal, in my opinion, is to record out of the HDMI output into something like an Atomos recorder. I use the Ninja Flame, the Shogun is another one. Any of those Atomos devices are great, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because they allow you to record in DNX or DNX codec, which essentially is a very easy codec for Windows platforms to deal with. And if you're using an Apple computer, you'd want to be using the Atomos to record in ProRes. I will be covering off how I use that camera and the recorder together. I think I might have to, unfortunately, with the Canon 5D, use Magic Lantern, I think it is, to actually force the Canon 5D to send out what's called a clean HDMI signal. Unbelievably, the Canon 5D Mark II doesn't send out a clean signal. What it actually sends out is the little white box that is used to actually zoom in and zoom out. It actually records and burns that into the video footage as you record when you try to export into an Atomos. So we'll work around that. We'll hopefully get the Magic Lantern working, and if we can, I'll probably transfer Magic Lantern to it. If we can get that to work, that'd be ideal, because then what that means is that we can actually get a clean DNX recording of the 5D. These are all things that I'll cover off as we go along, but if we can manage to do that, we're certainly a lot better off. There's one of the reasons why we love the 5D, and a lot of the professionals are using it, is because, and this was us, I believe we were off the sticks at this point and using it this is why we love the 5D. There is a nice look to it, and obviously the depth of field gets really low. You can see how clean and nice it looks, how close up you can get, how quickly you lose that depth of field. So this is why we love the 5D camera, and it's still used professionally. I was surprised to read that it is used professionally. This is us mucking around with the 5D mounted on some rails on the Manfrotto, the Fig rig, which surprisingly no longer sells. But we were just testing the Fig rig and the 5D, and I think it looks great. I think the footage and the Fig rig are beautiful. I don't know why the Fig rig is no longer available, because it's quite an affordable mounting solution for around $300 to $400. People thought it was overpriced. There were some idiots, I think, that reviewed it and said it's too expensive, and here's one made out of plastic. let me tell you something, you're going to look like an idiot walking around with, you know, tubing. Clients are going to wonder what you're doing with plastic tubing. The Manfrotto is superb. I love it. Look at this. We were hoping it looks smooth. I love the look and feel of the Manfrotto. So just to give you an idea of what we'll be covering off in the weeks to come, we will be talking about the 5D mounted on the Manfrotto, and fingers crossed we get the Magic Lantern to work with it. I know I've gas bagged a little bit here, but just to give you an idea of the footage we grabbed, and to let you know what we'll be covering. So if you're half interested in videography and all the things that are possible, I think the 5D, there's no image stabilization built into it, and it's, I think, beautiful footage. And I don't want it to be pristine smooth. I think there's something fake about having something absolutely smooth, because when you're too smooth, there's something missing. It's not organic. It's not real. It feels like a totally fake shot, and I think people stop focusing on what they're seeing and they start focusing on the smoothness, which is, I think, what happens when you use gimbals and things like that. It gets too smooth, too steady, too stable. I definitely remember seeing footage like in Pulp Fiction where it was just absolutely perfect and everything's moving so smoothly that you go, oh, cool, a Steadicam shot. Even if you're not a film maker yourself, everyone that watches Steadicam go, oh, cool, a Steadicam shot. They're focusing on the Steadicam and the smoothness, and the content suddenly takes a back seat because it's unnatural. It's not natural to see. It's like if I color correct skin tone to look green, right? If I color correct skin tone to look unnatural, all of a sudden I'm staring at going, oh, look at the green skin. So we're not focusing now on the subject matter, we're focusing on the technique, and that's not a good thing. You're pulling people out. So anyway, I think we had a few close-up shots just to show you what came out of the 5D. Now we could use a bit of warp stabilizer if we want to smooth a certain section of it out, but as you can see, the 5D looks great. There's a nice look to it. The 5D footage just looks great. There's no problems with it. It could easily get up close to someone. So surprisingly, the 5D camera, I think if you went a Canon 5D Mark III, you'd get that feeding straight into an Atomos. You can pull focus with it quite easily because the Atomos gives you all the assistance of what you need, and you get great results with it. Not that it's too difficult to get the 5D to kind of pull in and pull out, but now you get the point. Footage looks amazing in my opinion, so I was thinking, do I sell my Canon 5D? I've decided I'm not going to. Best thing I can do is possibly just get Magic Lantern working on it, and we'll see if we can't get that to work. So in any case, I'll sign off. That's the ingest. We're already done. So all pulled across, and obviously if we go back into the footage now and go into here, and we go into Steve Newman and mystery music videos, you can see 5D initial shoot. I can rename this folder all day long, and we can clearly see all of the clips. And if we just do it in this view, you can see quickly. Anyone, especially if you've got an editor that's helping you, they can clearly see that that is all part of the same shoot. They can clearly see that it's Steve. There might be other band members that are recorded, so you can easily see that that's Steve if it was his daughter that was also part of the music production, and his brother Gary. You can clearly see that that's for the song Mystery. It's in the bar. This is the date we recorded, and it's Steve, and it was using a Canon 5D. How hard can that be? If I really wanted to, I could use the naming convention of, say, the Canon camera, it's the 5D on the Atomos, Steve, mystery, bar, date, and you can clearly know, yep, this is the Canon camera, it's the 5D camera, it's with Steve. We use the Atomos to record, meaning it's not H.264 internal recording on the compact flash. These are important things to know. These are things that you tend to want to know when you're doing this type of thing with Prelude. The reason why you use Prelude though is clearly so that this happens quickly. Imagine if you had 5 of these cards, or you had a week's worth of footage that you had to quickly ingest but kind of not lose, things like MVI_7909 is going to become very tricky and tedious and painful as you start to edit, and we'll show you what happens next as we do this. But there you go, that's the ingest. I gave you a little bit more than I needed to, but at least you now know that we're also going to be discussing the Canon 5D camera, if we can get Magic Lantern to give us a clean HDMI out, which essentially means that we're getting just the raw image straight onto the Atomos, and pushing the limits of what that sensor is capable of. Believe it or not, still a great camera, even after I think 7 to 8 years since it was made. I think it was 2008, 2009 that we saw it appear. Nearly 8 years later, it's still a brilliant camera. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Talk soon.